And at least at the start, the match will be played outdoors. But don't be surprised if at some stage we get some rain and the roof is closed. Serve will be a big factor here, and so will the way that Safin moves early on in this match. Just looking at that support group, I just hope that they didn't play a part in his lack of preparation for the semi-final.
Lost his serve 4 times in his semi-final against Novak. Not in the opening set though, and didn't have to save any break points in it. In fact, he only, in the whole match against Novak, only had 1 deuce game on his serve. Games were generally won pretty easily, except where he lost, and then he lost them in a hurry.
The bookies had made their mind up fairly firmly about this one. When I inquired earlier today, Marat Safin 7-2 on, and it was 9-4 against Johansson. Bookies being greedy, not for the first time.
30.
This is a monster shot.
That's a good tactic of Safin's to use the high bouncing ball to drive Johansson back to try and get the short reply from him. Twice in that rally he used that tactic.
So break point in the opening game.
Game Safin.
Bludgeoning return, and Safin makes his presence felt right at the start here. Johansson, of course, in his first Grand Slam final. Big occasion for him. It may take him some time to get adjusted to this. We saw at Wimbledon that he suffered at the big occasion on the, I think it was #1 court against Andy Roddick. Came with terrific intentions, having won the tournament in Halle and Nottingham back-to-back. Beat Andrew Illy in the first round and then came up against Roddick and was very nervous early on. Got to grips with it late on, but Roddick beat him in 4 sets. And this, of course, a much bigger occasion. Never before got to the semi-final of a Grand Slam, let alone a final. Safin, of course, in his second Grand Slam final.
Well, a flying start by Safin, really, with the first quick break of serve. He broke Haas 5 times in the final 2 sets, but really it was almost a case of Haas helping Safin to break his own serve.
Good stuff from Johansson.
Have a look at Magnus Tiedemann, the Swede, an ex-player, pretty good player too, and he'll be very pleased with this early form on the forehand from Johansson. It's the shot really the weakest of the ground strokes on court, so essential that it operates. Safin lost his serve 3 times against Haas, unbroken in the fourth and fifth sets.
A spectacular return from Johansson. And now he's got 2 break points.
I'm not going to try and count the net cords, but we've had seems like thousands during the tournament.
He got enough kick on that second serve to stay alive there, Safin. Kicking himself up to that one.
Well, a terrific return of the 209km/h serve. Pretty competent at withstanding pace. It's of course a matter of getting behind the ball. But the first errant forehand, they'll be hoping it's one of the last.
That's a prodigious game from Safin. There was real maturity about the way he came out after the rain delay in the semi-final. Took the game on, but in measured tones. And he really dug deep there. Johansson's been saying that this is the best tennis this tournament's produced, the best tennis of his career. Particularly in his quarter-final against Jonas Bjorkman. Remember him. Oh, that was confident, nearly very embarrassed.
Well, even though he lost his opening serve, Johansson, there's a good ring about racket on ball. No real suggestions of nerves overcoming, or a case of his overcoming nerves.
That'll do Johansson a lot of good. 1-2. So Safin with the early break, sitting on that 2-1 lead. Still pretty warm, but nothing too frightening. The only threat from the weather is that it might rain. Not a lot of luck for the birthday boy there.
Well, good early on in the match to have a really good run, but at the same time you do like to win the points after you've made the effort. Johansson's got to take advantage of his lucky break.
Oh, yes. He's got the weapons, Johansson. Big serve, big shots. Marat knows all about those.
Yes, he certainly wants to try and get stuck in early on in the rally, does Johansson, because sooner or later Safin will explode. And really, he's the bigger man with generally the bigger shots.
A mighty effort from Big Marat. 213. That was 203, sorry. 217's his fastest serve so far in the tournament. No, Johansson too quick for him. And the Swedish contingent in the crowd look ready to celebrate that. Yeah, that was possibly away from the line. But he knuckled down to his task, and here he might reap the reward. That's 3 break points he's missed.
Well, real encouragement in the way he got to that drop shot. That's as quick as I've seen Johansson move, and it surprised Safin. He thought he had the point won.
Oh. Well, he did it time after time, did Safin, in the crucial stages of his match against Sampras, which I think by common consent has been the match of the tournament.
Well, he really served so powerfully and so well at the end against Tommy Haas, when most of his big serves arrived.
And that may get to Johansson. Can't believe that.
What, the saving of break points?
That's roughly it, true.
Or breaking point?
Must be near breaking point. Is he trying to make a point?
Safin, the first man to look for the angle. Johansson prepared early on in the rally just to play the ball down the middle of the court, looking for the early error from Safin. Seemed to be looking to serve volley. Not often does he do that.
Safin doing enough, controlling his power. But it's only a point here or there. He's not crushing Johansson, even though he looks very healthy on the scoreboard.
He's used that wide serve very effectively. It's what I call control power on Johansson's part. He generally has a pretty low serve percentage, but when he uses this serve, his percentage rises. Generally around about 53% first serves in. Safin not a great deal higher, usually in the mid-50s.
Well played. There's nothing to pick between the two. Johansson, though, hasn't taken his chance. Safin has. Up to this point, the unforced errors are few. 4 only for Safin, 6 for Johansson. Now Johansson has had break points, a couple of them, on each of Safin's last service games. Just a fraction slow to get across, as if he was going to surprise Safin with a late launch at that.
It's a feature of Safin's match against Sampras that he lost a lot of the opening points on his serve, which of course he did here in the first 2 of his service games. Makes such a difference for the turn of the game if he can win the first point as he's done here.
Again, Johansson as you expect through. Keen to make the early move. Serve and volley from Safin. Maybe a while before he does it again.
Oh, 2 in the game, one lost. But that's heartening again. The forehand working well for Johansson. Essential that it does. As good a stroke as he's played.
Just got the outside of the line. Second ace. Still, that opening game looks crucial.
So of the 20 aces against Haas, that's 144 service points. So about 1 in 7 serves, first serves, or 1 in 7 serves, 1 in 7 service points does he clock an ace. And Johansson about the same against Novak. Says a lot for his serve.
First ace then for the Swede. Amazing that it's 10 years now since we've had a Grand Slam winner, any of the Grand Slams from Sweden. Edberg, US Open 92. Broken only 2 rackets in this tournament, which is a surprise. We saw both those 2. Can't believe there weren't others, but there haven't been.
Well, it's a smart play by Johansson. And Safin cursing the fact, of course, that he's not getting a grip on the court. It's just slipping a bit. It's been a feature actually of this year's Australian Open that the courts have been somewhat more slippery than they are as a rule. Normally in the past players have stuck to them as opposed to slipping.
Two aces each. Could that have anything to do with the court being painted sideways across the court rather than down the court? Saying it's a slower court this year because of that. I just wonder if the foot hole might be different.
Have your hands on your balls, please.
Safin though, 4-3. Just the one service break.
Calling's been very sharp.
Looks a super shot, doesn't it? Total control. Safin surprised. You can see that his body movement, he really was surprised by the pace. Thought he was going for it and getting it, and wasn't even close. And there's another. He'd not finished serving, really, and it was back at him. The Vikings reckon their marauder could be on the verge of something here. 2 more break points. He's missed 4.
30-40.
Dennis Overberg from Australia, the man in charge. He reckons the space between ball and line does. Johansson didn't pick it, I must say. At first glance, let's see here. Yeah. Second glance, he's got a good point, but Overberg not rushing into overrule. But that was right below him, and it was out. Oh. And there was the chance. And another couple of break points have gone. It's getting to be a habit. And the pattern pretty firmly established here. Johansson starting the service games of Safin so well, but he's not able to land the killer blow.
Just seems to fade really when he needs all his resources to operate for him, Johansson. But nevertheless, a very encouraging game for him.
Swede then serving to stay in the set, 3-5. Johansson serving at 52%, Safin at 69. Now, wasn't able to stop himself anyway. Now he has a go about the baseline. I must say my first instinct was that might have missed the line, but the replay may or may not endorse that. He decided rather late to make the move forward. Yeah, it may well have got the outside of a line. Impossible to overrule there. You can see how close it was. It looks like it was just out by a millimetre, but Dennis Overberg can't jump in there. It was not a clear mistake. He didn't seem to judge that at all. Not really under it. He was asking an awful lot of himself with the footwork misplaced. Yes, no wonder he looks up. Fine return from Safin, and here are 3 set points. Safin now 1 out of 2 for break points. Johansson 0 out of 6. But 2 out of 3 is not bad. So it's all about chances, and he's taken his chances as Safin, 2 of them, and he's taken the set 6 games to 3.
Signs that even the kick serve and the high bouncing ball to Safin is not handled with all that comfortably by the Russian. And Johansson likes to use the spin on the second serve and also the high bouncing forehands at times. So really everything there to encourage Johansson, but not a nice position to be in. 3-6 with Safin beginning to serve in the second set.
Safin's back was a big problem last year, as well as coming to terms with his wealth and fame. See why his back would be under pressure, the way he serves. Sometimes it really is back-breaking. That second serve, particularly when he goes for the kicker.
Cut it fine, but made it all right. Even hopping off the ground to get even more height, to get over the ball even more.
Bulldozing serve. Safin still unbroken.
Actually serving with a pretty high percentage, Safin, up near the 70% mark, over 60%, which is pretty high for him. The encouraging thing from Johansson's point of view, though, is that he's dealing generally with the first serve pretty hard. Safin going into the body a lot.
Up until this year, it was the only Grand Slam for Safin where he'd failed to reach the quarter-final. Well played. But I guess he's a natural on any surface, except grass is always going to be a bit of a problem for him.
Yes, I think if the surface is really fast and you're able to catch him in mid-court, his agility isn't all that great. Doesn't really enjoy the natural serve volleying type of game. Seems to be a Russian failing. Kafelnikov doesn't either.
Now, did that get the line? Well, I think he's been wrong once. He might have been wrong there again, but again, it's the other side of the court from Dennis Overberg, who's not inclined to intervene, but I thought that got some of the line. Let's have a look at it again. I think this got a little bit of the line. Yep. Close call. You can understand again why he didn't intervene. It's difficult to get angry with Dennis Overberg on there. But it did get some of the line.
When Johansson gets angry, he tends to look at his racket strings and fiddle with them a bit.
It's not really going his way at the moment. He'll do well to get out of this. Well done. Totally different serve, and it did the trick.
Well, the Swedish chorus, of course, has always been for Johansson, but it seems to me that the crowd are now sympathetic to him generally because the calls have not gone his way. Well, it's a real bonus and an easy point for Johansson. It shouldn't be, because Safin ought to be able to get in and take those balls a little bit earlier.
Well, you know the way this match has gone, that wasn't going to go over. Sterling work from the Swede. In many ways an underachiever, I think, Johansson. Only 6 titles to his credit. You can see how amazingly sharp and how powerfully he hits the ball with real snap. But he's not achieved at the big occasions until here. Quarter-final in the US Open. Back in the year 2000, the best he's done. Todd Martin beat him then. Oh! Rocket fuel. Desperately wanted that. Well, there's been some mighty hitting, but also a fair amount of guile. And most of it coming from Safin.
Well, as good a drop shot as he's played. And yet look at the speed of Johansson, almost bringing this off. Really looking sharp. Still just a matter of those elusive, important points not going the Johansson way. Extraordinary rally.
Another lightning return, but he did so well, Safin, on his first volley.
Yes, he's complaining that he thought his first serve was out.
It's a bit bizarre after all that. Oh, glorious. Yeah, it was that good.
Well, at times he is playing like a super Swede, isn't he? Certainly not overawed by the occasion.
And of course, Safin's big shots hit the line. And when they hit the line, they're called good. At the moment, Johansson's are not.
15th stroke of the rally, and surely the very edge of the line.
Johansson playing now as well as at any stage in the match.
Well, even the Johansson single-handed slice backhand has got a crispness about it that it doesn't always have. It's just a matter of holding on, perhaps breaking through here if he possibly can, naturally, but holding on early on here, because there are signs that he's just getting to Safin a little bit. He's making him work that much harder.
First double. Oh, surely Johansson's going to pick up one of these break points somewhere along the line. Yeah, he's a bit more passive there, Johansson. I thought he was going to pay the price, but he didn't. And at last he lands a blow which he's been threatening to land for the last 40 minutes.
A host of star players from European clubs are back in Africa, turning it on for their country in the highly coveted African Nations Cup. The African Nations Cup from Mali, January 20th to February 10th on Eurosport. After the heat of the Australian Open, the duelists have split for the northern latitudes. The women are in Japan. The men are in Italy, and all of them, naturally, are indoors. We have the men in Milan Wednesday to Friday live, and this weekend from Milan and Tokyo, the semis and the finals of both men and women on Eurosport.
Remember, I was telling you just before the match started that Safin had broken 2 rackets in the whole tournament. Make that 3. Another one is history. No warning, though, from Dennis Overberg. Didn't see it, but he'd have heard it. But it seems that the officials here are a little bit more lenient, particularly in the big matches.
Seats quickly, please, ladies and gentlemen. Players are ready. Thank you.
Johansson then, 2-1. A break up, a set down. It's been a very close call, but all the close calls are going against him. His first double.
Well, I think it's no coincidence that he broke the racket. It's the fact, as I was saying, that I think Johansson is just getting to him with his solid play, his quick movement, almost matching Safin with power at times.
I think that was a very necessary smash from Safin. It was hardly macho tennis before it.
Well, I was interested to see how he applied himself to the smash, because if the frustration was really getting too much for him, he would have really knocked that ball in half. But as it was, he controlled it. And he's got to control himself like that, Safin.
I think that was just away. I understand why he just paused for a fraction of a second. Two break-back points.
30-40.
Fourth ace. That'll hurt.
He just feels that because of Johansson's steadiness and his speed, his ability to get to some of these big shots, that he's just got to go for that little bit of extra special, Safin. And as a result of not making it, he's just succumbing to the pressure.
Boy, that was a ripper. Just incredible shot, and hit with absolute control. Well, Johansson said that the first set of his match against Jonas Bjorkman was the best tennis he thinks he's played in his life. I think right now he might have to reevaluate that.
And Safin trying in that last game both tower and then also to change his game by lofting the ball and just trying to get it up high on Johansson, and yet Johansson had an answer to that as well. He's never objected to the Russian hitters. He has a very good record against Kafelnikov, does Johansson.
39.
At the moment, he's the governor.
40. Game 7.
Love service game. But Safin is having the battle here, big time. For if this does go the full distance, as it looks as if it could, stamina might well play a part. We've seen Safin struggle, and it's Safin who has had the tougher couple of matches. He had a break, obviously, when he had that first set win against Wayne Ferreira, who had to retire with his stomach muscle problem, but he had a huge match against Sampras. It was not a 5-setter, it was a 4-setter, but it felt like a 5-setter. And then he had that monster match against Haas. Johansson's been the distance too, but not quite in the same way.
Yes, he's played the more tennis, Johansson. He's certainly been on court substantially longer than Safin. But as you say, Safin's matches have come nearer this final. And Johansson obviously playing his match against Novak a day earlier, that much more rested. And I think that is important. He's certainly looking the fresher of the two at the moment.
Well, it doesn't take much to get them excited, but of course they'd be excited with the way their man is playing right now. Can he keep it going? 3-2.
15
Well, that love service game, Safin's first of the match. If Johansson serves like that, he won't be able to use it as much of a springboard.
35.
It's Jim Courier who said of Johansson, how can somebody as small as you, as short as you, hit as big a serve?
Best return for a while.
Much nodding of heads by the Swedish contingent, as if to say, yes, this is much more like Belander and Edberg.
Yes, the last Swede to make it through to the final here was Thomas Enquist 3 years ago. Didn't really show up, did he? Was less than himself.
That's right, and Borg never won down here, seldom played in Australia. It wasn't the major that it is now, although of course considered one of the 4 all the way through.
So much contrast in this match. Some bludgeoning hitting, but plenty of little deft touches as well.
And no better feeling having been moved around yourself to end up able to win the point by moving your opponent around. Well, he realised that was huge if you get to love 30 in sight of a double break and surely the set.
Instead of which, 5th ace for the Russian. His temperament needs to hold firm here. In the past, he has been a little temperamental, Safin. Signs in the year 2000 that all that had changed. But maybe a leopard doesn't lose all its spots.
Well, you can see the look of concern in his face. This was a huge strike for Safin. He needs to get that feeling, that really sense of rhythm on his strokes.
Oh! How about that for quickness?
Well, in thinking about the match earlier, I was trying to remember when Johansson had played very good shots on the run, and my conclusion was that his defensive play was not all that hot. But in this match, he's been outstanding, and that's surely the rally of the tournament so far for Johansson.
No, it's just long. Safin did so well to stay alive, I thought he might just pull off a miraculous volley. But there was just enough topspin to drag it down and force it up from Safin. And here's a point for 5-2.
Not a lot you can do when they're coming at you that quickly, straight at you. Can try standing a bit further back, but the chances are then that Safin will, of course, find the angle.
Beginning to miss too many. second break point chance.
Well, he's certainly a believer, feeling that even from behind the baseline he can rip the winner. It's just the height of the net at the side of the court that prevented that one from being a winner.
Here's number 6. Well, it's proving to be a terrific final. And 4-3 it is for Johansson's second set. And the second week has not been a disappointment. When all those seeds were knocked out early on, everyone said, well, you wait to the second week, it'll really suffer, the men's event, and the women's event will take over. Well, to a certain extent it has, but the men haven't disappointed. We saw a quite wonderful match between Sampras and Safin. Safin and Haas was terrific, and now this.
Very high quality. I think there have been 28 5-set matches during the course of this tournament, and of course there were those 14 comebacks from love 2 down, so plenty to talk about and admire in the men's game so far.
Yes, Ferreira Costa, that went to 9-7 in the 5th. Roger Federer against Tommy Haas, what was that, 8-6 in the 5th? Been some fantastic matches. And we could have a final to match. So he's looked coolness itself amidst all this intensity. 4-3. The 1-2 punch. Only operating at just over 50%, 52% first serves in, but 80% of the points when the serve goes in, the point is won. In a variety of ways.
Well, that's heartening too, just a little change of tactic to serve volley, and as good a forehand volley, the technique outstanding. Again, the crispness there.
Oh, Marat. Better not look at those blondes now, because they'll be laughing. What on earth was that? I think he was waving it goodbye, but it was a shocking error.
He certainly waved the point goodbye.
Now the sun's coming through. You can see the line halfway up the court where the partially closed roof is making sunlight and shade a little bit more obvious now. Maybe that's his excuse. Interesting to see Johansson moving forward with such aplomb.
Well, it's the best tennis I've seen Johansson play, and I remember doing his match in the final of the Canadian Open against Kefalnikov, where he played very well, but this is better. He's keeping Safin off balance. He's rushing him a little bit, just taking the ball that much earlier, and agility has never been a strong point of this Russian.
Serving to stay in the second set.
Love 50.
Six service game in which he's lost the first point. The trend continues.
He's in the mood to take anything on.
15 all.
Creamy shot from Safin.
Well, it's been a while since he struck an outright winner off the ground. Johansson in sight, but not in touch.
Got his geography a little wrong there.
Trying the Santoro approach against Safin, the Frenchman who has such a terrific record against the big Russian. Not quite with the finishing or lobbing skills that Santoro has.
Serving again, getting him out of trouble. But he has to break Johansson's serve now.
Johansson leads 5 games to 4.
Honest guy, as Safin was saying earlier, particularly in his press conference after the Haas match, where he said he had no chance. If the rain hadn't come, he said he was history. Wasn't moving particularly well before the match started, and he was hardly moving at all when the rain came to save him.
Well, this tournament, like most tournaments, has a history really of more three-setters in the finals, 36 over the years, as opposed to 19 five-set finals and 34 four-sets. So the three-set match is predominating. Whoever wins the first tends to go on and win, but I have a feeling that unless Johansson buckles a little bit here, we're certainly not going to see a three-set here. But this is where the tension is at its most dramatic, of course, and at its highest. Johansson needs a good start.
See the partially closed roof, because there always is the threat of rain, and they can close the roof very quickly. should they want to. So Johansson serving to level up at a set apiece. Fifth ace.
Well, he's putting body and soul into it.
So much snap in the serve. It's been such a high-class set, this, from Thomas Johansson, and he has 3 points here to finish it. Glorious. Outstanding set. But he mustn't sit on it. He went missing after the first set against Jiří Novák. He's got to stay with us here.
Lay down, son.
No need to leave so soon.
This is Drive.
Tell me sweet little lies.
It's a 4-CD set with the 60 most exhilarating open-air tracks ever written.
Nothing compares to you.
With classic artists like Eric Clapton, John Vangelis, Fleetwood Mac, the Christians and Chris de Burgh. It just hits the road and keeps going.
My name is Luca.
But you can't buy it in the shops. You have to order by phone. To get your copy, call now. Inside, we know great music when we hear it.
We may have to make a rapid reappraisal of Thomas Johansson. I said he was an underachiever through. I have to say, before this tournament, I never saw him as a Grand Slam winner, but he's jumped out of that little pocket.
Well, I haven't seen him play better. I was even as full of praise in my thought in that first set, even though he lost it and dropped his serve a couple of times. It just seemed to me that there was in his tennis in that first set the makings of an outstanding player today. And of course, at his best, he is outstanding. It's just that he's lacked the consistency over the years, particularly on the forehand. And the serve, as big as it is, has let him down because it's been inconsistent. But suddenly now in the second set, he's got it all together. And he's got Safin worried. On the other hand, Safin has to remember that when he beat Johansson at the US Open, he won the first set, lost the second, and went on to win. So the start of this third set, very, very crucial.
And bright sunlight now for the first time.
Certainly not a perfect scene for the players down there, with the court partly in sunshine, partly in shadows, but a lot easier if you've played through it. If you suddenly had to go down there and start, you'd find it much more tricky.
looking up. It must be tricky. It's also tricky for you at home watching the match. And we apologise for that, but of course it's nothing we can do. It's out of our control. But the engineers have a nightmare job when the sun's as bright as this, going from sunlight to shade. They can't do it, so they have to get an average, really. And it means you're losing the ball here and there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, they shouldn't hit it as hard. I wonder if they could just slow it down a bit.
Well, I'll have a word about the weather, Through. You have a word with Safin and Johansson.
Yes, it's state of the art, and it's one of the wonders, really, of the tennis world, the roofs that they have here at the Australian Open. But even with them, it's not perfection.
Yes, he needed one more shot. Yeah, the problem that Peter Berenger and the rest of them had is that the forecast was for a little bit more rain, certainly earlier on this afternoon, and maybe some later. And that's why they've gone for this 50-50 with the roof half open, half closed. But it does make it more difficult to follow the ball.
Yes, I'm not exactly sure I follow their reasoning. I mean, you still have to stop play as you close the roof. You'd only just have to stop it for a little longer if it were totally open. And if it is to rain, it's going to get in anyway. So why not have it open all the way? Well, he played that point at 40 love so casually, didn't he, with all the fancy little volleys. And that's part of his problem. He's really got to concentrate, win the games as easily as he can. He doesn't want to offer Johansson any more fodder than he's already had.
Big point now. The way that Johansson's been serving, he can't afford to go a breakdown, even this early on. Well played. Not as easy as it looked. There's the press contingent. Strangely, there hasn't been a Swede until now, but I'm sure there are a few Swedes who've made the trip in the last few days to get here for the final. No Russian journalist. Tennis, despite Kafelnikov and Safin, is still not big back home. This is amazing for when you think what they've achieved in the men's game, and of course they've got one or two women players. That young lady, you keep forgetting her name, Kornikova, I think her name is, and Dementьeva and all the others. They've got terrific players, male and female, and yet doesn't crack it at home.
No, and I think in many ways perhaps it's because they've achieved. Kafelnikov's done it over the years, a couple of major titles. And the same, of course, applies to the Swedes. They've had their halcyon days of Borg and Wilander and Edberg. Not that Borg was the first to win a major title. That belonged to Sven Davidsson, who won the French back in the 50s.
Did not expect these kind of rallies in this match when we thought about it before it started.
Well, it was such an important save by Safin, that of his last service game, and even feeling that he can play a ball that was going out there for the winning volley. Well, good movement by Safin, but just not as competent when he gets there as Johansson, with Johansson's greater speed. You can't have it all, I suppose, unless you're a Michael Jordan or some of those other basketballers.
Second double.
Another look at Magnus Tiedemann, the coach of Johansson.
Not quite. Just enough devil on the shot from Johansson.
Safin could see what he had to do. He could see the opening. One thing's for sure, Dunlop's a winner here, no matter what.
More shaking of the head.
I was saying Dunlop's the winner no matter what, but they may have to get the factory to work overtime should Safin lose.
Unbelievable return. He's standing wide, isn't he, to receive from the first court. And he's just got a little bit of room on that body serve. Perhaps a little bit more than he would do normally if he was standing in the more traditional spot. But he just blocks it and it goes like a rocket. And even the way he's playing, that was asking a lot.
But he seems to have totally belief in his all-round ability, Johansson. Even though he was always on the move, there was a confidence about him. And I'm sure he was convinced he was going to make the two-hander down the line. Safin's having to pull out all the stops here.
He moves into double figures on aces.
30-15.
Was confident. Not out by much. But you could see in his body language the total confidence that Johansson has in his play.
Well, that was a terrific rally. The wrong footing of Safin, such a good tactic to use against the big man. That would have torn not only at Safin's limbs, but also his mind.
Safin doing awfully well to stay with Johansson, who's playing some sublime tennis, but Safin is stuck with him. Still frustrated though. Going back to the stamina thing, Fru. One thing we talked about the problem this half-closed, half-open court has proved, not just for the players who are seeing it, but also for spectators at home. But Safin is playing a little bit more of the match than he might have done in the shade, and that could prove quite crucial later on.
Yes, it is a factor that I thought of, that the players have probably welcomed the fact that there actually is a bit of shade on court. Safin's concern, as you could see there, was the fact that after he'd run for that, his foot slipped again. It just feels perhaps that his movement is somewhat curtailed by this fact that every now and again his feet just take off on the court and he loses control. Johansson seems to be without a concern, really. But the one factor, of course, in Safin's favour is that he's ahead. Even though Johansson is stretching him, Safin is doing such a good job of holding on to what he has to do, and that is his serve.
Well, he stuck with Sampras when Sampras was playing a sensational tennis. He felt he wasn't able to stick with Haas, and he looked to be losing that in the semi-final. But he's sticking with Johansson here. And that's mighty tough, but mighty commendable as well. 1-2, third set. Sixth ace. Never seen him serve and volley as much as he's tending to now.
Well, it's the fact that he's volleying so well. Every reason to use it a bit more. And of course what it does, it rushes Safin that much more. If he's a little uncertain about his feet on the court, Safin, that's what Johansson needs to do to him.
Mustn't get carried away with his form. He did get carried away against Novak. So that he relaxed too much and basically went to sleep, tennis-wise. Three aces in the game. 2 games each.
2 games all.
Well, it's as good a service game as he's played. 3 aces in the 5 points. But I was saying he'd struck about 1 in 7 in his semi-final match. Safin looking for a bit of support. Perhaps the Swedish chorus is getting to him a little.
Yes, I know which support group I'd prefer to be with, but they're not making as much noise as the Vikings. Oh!
I'd like to see it again. Must have been very close.
Simply glorious if it was in. I think he did get some of the line, yeah. Right in the corner. It's been his outstanding shot, the backhand down the line. But there's another.
One of the great two-handers, of course. A finer shot than Kafelnikov's even now.
Well, the standard of tennis is just as high now. It's scarcely dipped in the, 1 hour and 37 minutes we've been going. Well guessed.
Well, is this going to be another game of some suffering for Safin? Remember the first game of the set, 40-love, back to deuce.
42.
Just a little relaxation at 40-love. Needs the big serve there to finish it off quickly.
Yes, he made the move. Safin didn't see him coming in. And he can't believe he's missed it. Safin looking a little weary as he trudges to his chair. But he's playing awfully well. We focus so much on Johansson because he has been the surprise element in this, the standard of his play, but Safin's playing awfully well as well.
He is playing well. What he's doing is he's gutsing it out particularly well when he's been pegged back, as I said, in that opening game, and then again there. But on the other hand, that was such a poor shot by Johansson. So unlikely, really, because had he got Safin back to deuce again, well, there would have been even more beads of perspiration and fluid seeping away from this man. You can lose a lot of it. You lose up to 5 liters during the course of a match. So just as well to take in more of it and throw some more over you to cool yourself down.
There's the Baywatch corner. And the man is doing outstandingly well. Is he going to do well enough to get his second Grand Slam title? Difficult for us to judge where we are, but it looks like it's getting quite hot. Safin is looking hot. Johansson, though, is playing hot.
15.
Bit of a millionaire shot, that one.
Well, except he's been playing them pretty well, and he'd managed to get Safin to do a lot more moving again. And at some stage or other, it may just be the last straw for the Russians, so no harm in trying it perhaps when you're ahead. Shapes to play the two-hander and then releases the left. Good disguise.
Yeah, these are very punishing rallies now for Marat Safin. Particularly, of course, when he loses the point. How strong is he going to be this afternoon?
Well, Magnus Tiedemann, I know, is a strong man. He carried me through a tournament in Belgium once at a club called de Witte Wilg. Tennis that was played all the way through the night. I was sleepy, he was strong, the coach of Johansson.
All-night tennis, it never really caught on, though, for him.
He did there. It was phenomenally popular. They used to try it at the Torquay Palace Hotel as well. He's lost just the 4 points on serve, Johansson, 2 of which are double faults, so he's not exactly being stretched on serve, which means quite a bit of resilience, really, when he comes to have a crack at the Safin serve. Safin needs to be pressing Johansson just a little bit more to give him that comfortable feeling, which I'm sure he really doesn't have at the moment.
And he is beginning to look fatigued, pouring sweat. You can see sitting down there. No change of ends, but he found a seat. But his feet were carrying him well there. Another exquisite drop shot, though, from Johansson.
Huge, almost humiliating. A couple of big points. You can see Safin's anxiety.
That looked a tired shot. Is he losing his sharpness? He's played so well to stick with Johansson up to now, but he may be fraying. Has to hold it together now.
Well, it was such a sensational return. And then obviously just took his eye off this. You can see he's looking to where he's hitting it.
At this stage of the match, nothing is elementary, even a smash like that. The body language has changed fundamentally in the last 10 minutes.
30-40.
Break point for the first break of this set. I think it was tiredness. And if it is, it's very bad news for the Russian. Johansson gets the first break. Remember, one break was good enough for the second set. How did you read that particular game?
Well, I must admit, I think I could see it coming, particularly when Johansson won the first point on the Safin serve. Yet again, that loss of the opening point, and of course it gave Johansson so much encouragement. There's such a distinction between the two of them at the moment. Safin looks so negative to me, whereas Johansson looks comparatively serene, even though Safin's had the fewer games, less time on court coming into this final. The wear and tear is really getting to him. It's muggy, it's humid out here, and at times I suppose the players find it difficult to catch their breath, while Johansson seems to be catching it a lot more comfortably than Safin. I think it's going to be a very difficult match for Safin to win from here on in, unless Johansson shoots himself in the foot.
As usual, Fru, that made perfect sense to me. It would be easy, not for him to shoot himself in the foot, but easy for him to really succumb to the pressure of closing this out. And it could well be that very shortly if he takes this third set. It would be a quantum leap for him to win this. Just like it was for Safin when he won the US Open, yet everyone thought that sooner or later he was going to win. He just did it sooner than we thought. No one thought that Johansson was capable of this, surely.
39.
Not just winning a slam, but winning it in the way that he's winning it. Because Safin's dad really suffering.
Well, you can't blame him. He's feeling so confident now. He's going for everything, but Safin has to take advantage of this little opening that he's been given.
40-50.
That was good. Doesn't count, but it was good. But that wasn't no call from the line judge. But help that time from Dennis Overberg. First time he stepped in. Johansson would have liked him to a little earlier. Boy, wasn't much in it, but a definite call. So Safin serves to stay in this third set.
And Johansson can afford, really, serving as he is, to take a few risks here. There it goes again.
Plenty of tricks. He said he's been practicing on his football. That's sloppy. Almost like he's given the set away.
And so aware of everything that's been done and said. Russian solos trying to match the Swedish chorus.
Wouldn't Johansson like to nick this game here, take the set and serve first in the fourth? So good. Read it to perfection, nailed it. Here's set point. Well, he won the point, Marat. But it didn't show a lot of conviction.
Well, he was playing silly muggers, wasn't he? And lucky to get away with it. Terrific turn of speed by Johansson. He really is moving well.
The longest rally for a while. And Safin digging in there. Out of context with the way he's played the last, what, 10 minutes.
Well, Johansson's defence, again, very, very tidy. Just taking his time. A long rally, 20 strokes in it.
Well, he does the honest thing. and forces the Swede to serve out for it. But look at the laboured way he's walking to his chair. By contrast, this guy's constantly sharp.
Well, the way he served out the second set augurs well. Remember, 2 aces, served it out to love. Safin has actually only won 2 points on the Johansson serve in this set, because 3 of the points that Johansson has lost have been double faults. But we know that to go into the lead just takes an extra amount of courage. The pressure is on. It's just a matter of how well Johansson reacts. But there's been nothing in the set at all which indicates that Johansson is fraying at all, whereas on the other hand, Safin looking decidedly edgy.
Can Safin gear himself up for another counter-attack here? Sun now at its height, and as you can see, the shadow is shortening as the sun moves around. Gorgeous.
Absolutely brilliant. 10 out of 10, because this was testing. This was a fine shot by Safin. He kept it low, but the volleying, that one poor volley apart, has been superb from the Swede.
And no sign of him faltering here at a crucial time. Can he use this as a platform?
It's a lovely strike. Johansson trying to get a bit of back into that to get the ball to bounce up even higher.
Hardly any footwork in preparation for that.
40-50.
2 set points to go 2 sets to 1 up. And he's looking very much the likely winner now. Safin down and very nearly out, and Johansson leads by 2 sets to 1.
6 games to 4. Johansson leads 2 sets to 1.
Mike, Sully, it's up to them to save their world from the most dangerous monster of all.
No!
I think I have a plan.
From the creators of Toy Story.
I lied.
Monsters Incorporated.
Is this the moment, by coincidence, that sees Hannibal start the journey to Garmisch, Innsbruck and Bischofshofen.
From Salt Lake City in Utah, Eurosport brings you the Winter Olympic Games. Access all areas 24 hours a day, only on Eurosport. The Australian Open live.
With Kia, the car that cares.
Spent most of his time head bowed, has Marat Safin. Must remember how he came back against Tommy Haas. Johansson's gone for a toilet break. The key thing now, really, I think, is all about Johansson. I think we know that Safin is less than he was at the start of this match, and he's not going to get it back. If Johansson can keep at this level, he's home, but it's a big if.
Well, it's an unknown issue, isn't it? He's an unknown quantity in a major final. Safin, we know, has been there and done it, but it was a very different sort of match playing against Sampras. He was the underdog. Sampras was coming at him all the time. Johansson is mixing it up so well. Johansson outplayed him in every department in that third set. So Safin's got to look for a huge lift here. How hungry is it? Sometimes you win a major and you might think, well, I've got one. This chap hasn't got any. He's just a bit hungrier than I, so what? At the other times, you win one and you feel it's super to have done it. I'd love to have another. And that's the thinking that Safin has to have. He doesn't want to be satisfied with one only. Whereas Johansson, it seems to me, is desperate and is controlling himself so well in his desperation to win a major.
The other thing, Prue, is that Safin, through the wear and tear we've been talking about, may be too hungry to eat. Too tired to eat.
Well, I don't think he can use that as an excuse, really. His match against Haas was long, but Johansson's played more games, been on court a lot longer. Okay, he's had a day extra, but Safin's had a whole day in between. At the moment, he's just being overcome by a better player on the day.
The 11th ace. He was surprisingly quick after the Haas match to acknowledge that Haas was outplaying him.
Interesting comment from a wag in the stand. Obviously somebody who's got quite a bit of money on Safin, saying, you're rushing your serve.
He needs that like a hole in the head. I think if he loses this point, it's going to be a very quick fourth set. Break point for Johansson. Well and truly buried, that one.
Well, a smash hit with total feeling. I think there was a lot of anger and frustration in that shot. He did extremely well to get out of it. It was a sensational return by Johansson.
Second break point. And again, outrageous returning from the Swede. And this is a big, big test of Marat Safin now, perhaps the biggest test he's had in his life. Because, of course, when he won against Sampras, he was playing sublime tennis. He didn't have to dig deep mentally. It was just incredible standard all the way through. He's played well here, but not well enough. Can he drug something up from the bottom of the barrel?
Well, his father was an excellent sprinter in Moscow, but this is turning and has to be some kind of a marathon match for Safin, as he got the stomach for it.
13 aces now for the Swede.
Well, as I was saying, he won just the 6 points on the Johansson serve, so 0.1 here, a real bonus.
That's just the kind of rally that you'd fancy Safin to win normally. Safin wouldn't want to see that expression.
Problem for Safin, if he covers the wide one out wide to the forehand, Johansson's got a terrific serve down the middle.
Johansson's judgment has been impeccable. He's made so many, you can't blame him from going for it.
His first serve percentage is dropping a bit here in this fourth set. It's been climbing all the way through the match. which is very, very positive for Johansson.
Just in the nick of time. Yes, for the first time now, Safin has a better service percentage than Johansson, 61 to 60. Ace number 14. It's 2-love. And I think the next game, if Johansson takes it, will inevitably decide the match.
Well, there were those opportunities there, a few too many missed first serves by Johansson, and yet once again Safin just not able to take the advantage that he was in the first.
Just can't get the footwork right. See how sharp Johansson remains, how he changed direction there.
Well, you could hear Johansson, he realizes the importance of this, actually exhorting himself. If he'd had a whip, he'd have whipped himself behind that ball.
Come on, Thomas, get moving. It's an event now when he doesn't fire a return straight back at Safin.
Well, he's brought the best out of Safin, and it's good to see that Safin can still deliver.
Impeccable length still. And the close supporters, the fiancé and the coach, have kept themselves very contained, but a sense you think that it might be here for Johansson. Not by much.
That would have been the most phenomenal shot. You saw Jonas Bjorkman bring off some miracles, but this would have been another, and it would have sealed the match here. Those candles on the Safin birthday cake are beginning to go out.
He has to keep fighting for every single point. Well played, Safin. Still hangs by a thread. Showed resilience there because the ball was being fired back at him, but he's still in this. sense in him, he's dragging it up. Every single bit of fight he's got left in him. But if Johansson stays at the level he's at, I don't think Marat's got him in him this afternoon to change this.
I think he's finding it an awful struggle out here. He's having to dig very deep to find the resolve to keep him in this match. And all credit to him, a terrific approach shot there. But he's having to play that sort of tennis. If Johansson plays anything like the last service game and wins it, I just can't see Safin coming back into this. He's got to take advantage.
Because it was at this stage in the semi-final that the rain came and saved Safin. Doesn't look like rain's likely now. But boy, he needs it. And it was only the rain that's enabled him to make his place, take his place in this final here.
Well, it's the first time since the first Johansson service game of the last set that he's won the first point. But he hasn't won 2 points in a row since Parr fell off the bus, since early in the second set on the Johansson serve.
Snatched rather at that. Hold on. Big serves now needed by Johansson.
Well, he'd opened up the court for the backhand down the line. It was the straightforward shot. There was a big hole there. As trying to be too clever cost him.
This game bears no relation to what we've seen from Thomas Johansson in the last couple of hours. 2 break points for Safin. Maybe this will give him some lift and some pep. Well done. Would he sense that Johansson faltered? I think he did falter. How much will Safin be aware of that?
Undoubtedly did. Not good serving. The wrong choice of stroke by Johansson. But all credit to Safin for taking the advantage. It was a must-win game.
And look at Safin go now.
old habits die hard. Even though you play a pretty good point, you get into the habit of losing these opening points in your service game. And sure enough,
drop shots are beginning to hurt him.
yes, he's got to get those out of his system. He was playing them superbly early on, but it's not, as a rule, a feature of Johansson's game, the drop shot. And he was playing really above himself in that department. Now he's got to look to play a more conventional stroke.
12th ace from Safin, and his supporters now really making themselves heard. His level has dropped alarmingly.
Well, there was another Macmillan that referred to the winds of change. It seems to me that there really has been a wind sweeping through here. The Safin, a second wind.
Safin has won the last 3 games, and from 2-love down, leads. Yes, there's no doubt he's playing better and seems to be a little revived, but the big difference is with the guy the other side of the net.
But it just shows what can happen, because Johansson suddenly coming off his pedestal and Safin taking the advantage, and Safin moving better now. It's almost as if he's got the wind behind him assisting him. He's looking so much surer on the move, getting there with time to spare, which of course is essential because it gives you the option of so many more shots. And it all comes about because of an errant attempt at the drop shot by Johansson. It just shows he was playing really out of his mind, as the players might say, out of his skin, Johansson, early on, and believing of course that he could continue to do it, and it just failed him. And it's just a matter of whether Safin can go on and build on his resurgent form here, and whether Johansson can find a quick pick-me-up on his service game.
No sense of Johansson choking over the last 10 minutes, but he's far less efficient. New balls. Timely bullet. What a cracking rally.
Much more straightforward, one of the longer rallies of the match. But straightforward and excellent by Johansson. A mini revival.
Just out. But he's still got some petrol in the tank, Safin, if he can get to a shot like this.
Sort of Frank Sedgman there, the winner of the Australian, the Great Australian, of course, winner of this tournament in 1949 and 50.
Three games each. Just wondering if we could have a repeat of the women's final, where we saw Hingis 4-love up or set up, couldn't finish it off, and Fight from Capriati won the day. Can Safin find the same kind of fight that Capriati did? Or do we have someone here who can't quite close it out? The errors are mounting.
40-50.
Mighty serving from Safin.
Safin leads 4 games to 3.
Mentioned his semi-final against Jiří Novak, where he won the first set, dropped the second set 6-love, and then came back after dropping the third set 6-4 to take it in 5. But it was a different kind of feeling about the loss of form then and the loss of form now. This looks like a definite faltering. Then it was almost a nonchalance. There's no kind of nonchalance about it. It's the opposite end of the spectrum, really.
Well, too, of course, it was consistently weak throughout the second set against Novak by Johansson, whereas here, of course, with the lead in the fourth, just a time to consolidate and keep ahead, and there's undoubtedly a feeling that he faltered. But the point really is that Safin, of course, has taken advantage, and again losing the first point in his serve, and yet coming up with some big serving to suggest that the failing that we saw earlier in the Safin physique is suddenly now not a factor. He seems strong.
Service percentage now 56% from Johansson. It was way up in the high 60s, and Safin's was way below 50. Is now up to 63. One break each, 3-4, fourth set. What was that nickname the Swedes call him? Johansson?
The Swedes call him Toker, T-O-K-E-R, which means that he's a little bit crazy, and it's also one of the dwarfs' name in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Could do with a little bit of the Dorka now, the kind of intensity he brought to the first 3 sets. Oh, that will get a warning. What a fabulous rally.
Well, the umpire making allowance, should really have made this. Not easy though for the players at the end of the run to control the low forehand, but he seemed to have that extra little bit of time.
Looks like he's refound himself. For how long? But if Safin can get away with stuff like that on the net, get away with virtually anything. He smashed a racket on the net. No point in having rules. As I said, we've probably bored you before about this, but I'm in favour of more latitude, more lenience with the players, and having a bit of common sense. But really, the rules are there. Flagrant transgressions like that.
Well, if you have rules, you can't have leniency in the rules. You've got to stick to them. And that's the problem. It then becomes judgmental. And common sense is not always very common.
Dad appreciated that, and appreciates the fight that his son is putting in here. Fight that didn't seem too apparent at the end of the 3rd set. Johansson does seem to have lifted himself off of that little trough of form early on in this, after he got the break in this set.
There was just a spell, wasn't there, where everything he touched was golden. I'm not bossing Safin at all now. In fact, it's almost the reverse.
Two thunderous backhands from the Swede. Well, he took his time, but that fairly hurtled to its mark. 14 aces each now. Safin a game away from taking this into a deciding set. I think he's refound the aggression, but not the consistency of success that he had in those sparkling times through sets 2 and 3.
Well, it seems to me that the chorus for Johansson is such that he doesn't actually hear the words of advice that come his way. But I remember early on, some wag said to Safin, take your time on your serve, and you remarked, Simon, that he needs that like a hole in his head. But actually sometimes a word like that, if it's a fact, of course, can actually have a salutary effect on you. And suddenly it rings a bell. And I'm not saying that that's what Safin has done, but actually he was rushing, and he does serve better if he does take his time a little more.
So Johansson at 4-5. Glorious pickup.
15.
Johansson's best run of consecutive points on serve in the match, now 10. He did win 11 at one stage against Novak in a row.
His movement over this set has been a lot better than it was at the end of the third, surprisingly so. That was a bit cumbersome. Safin maybe helped to a certain extent by the fact that the sun, which threatened to burn down, has now been shielded by the cloud for the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so. first and say what terrific work on the backhand from Safin. And then that.
Well, I hope it doesn't have the same consequences, of course, that the Johansson attempt at the drop shot had earlier. Just didn't have to play it quite as short as that.
Johansson shortening the angle, but not by that much.
30-15.
Well played, Marat Safin. And this is turning out to be one of the best finals of the Australian Open. Standard of play perhaps not quite so high in the second and third set when Johansson was really strutting his stuff. That was when it was at its best, but it's been at a pretty good level all the way through. We've had seesawing this way and that of form, an energized crowd. It's got virtually everything for us.
Yes, I think it's been very interesting. The form, as you say, coming and going, and Johansson certainly has cut out the tricky stuff, just playing much more straightforward tennis. He's won the last 12 points in a row on serve, 3 love service games for Johansson, and he'll be hoping to emulate that now. A big win of the second and third points in that game by Safin, because Johansson had a sniff of a break.
Well, we talked of the likelihood of tie breaks. Never more so than now. Johansson serving for the second time to stay in the set. Fifteenth ace. Only just. No wonder Safin held his ground.
30 love.
Much more bite again about Johansson serving and about his general play. Well, there couldn't be a better way to take yourself into a tiebreaker than that particular game from Johansson. Just had everything.
Extraordinary tennis. His supporters will just be hoping that he hasn't peaked too soon, winning 16 points in a row on serve. They may well have liked him to continue that serving. Well, perhaps he can in the tiebreaker. Just the fourth tiebreaker between them. Safin leads 2-1.
And they're both unbeaten in tiebreakers in this tournament. Well, Safin dropped the first set against Tommy Haas.
You can only overrule if the machine malfunctions, and if the call's that in, it's malfunctioning.
So it's 3-1 for him, 2-0 for Johansson. What about that? There's cool under pressure.
Extraordinary feel. It wasn't the easiest shot to play. Remember what he did the last time he tried a drop shot and a drop half volley. Such a difficult shot to play. Safin might have applauded him, but doesn't feel like doing it. Johansson generally not a good player of tiebreakers. Has only won 46% of them in his career. Safin 57%.
Whoa! What a start to the breaker. Johansson on fire again. The first smile from his fiancée.
Well, there's no lack of commitment by the big man. He was a steamroller, but going flat out.
Johansson looks to be finding the level that he had for about an hour and a quarter, hour and a half there in the second and third sets. Extraordinary. Given the occasion, given the situation in the match, to play like this, forget about brittle mental attitude, throw that right out of the window.
I think we're going to have to call that Johansson Avenue, that cross-court backhand of his.
He's hardly done anything wrong, Safin, in this breaker. He's 5-love down.
Second best isn't all that bad, but it doesn't feel all that good, I'm sure, at the moment.
He needs more luck like that.
Just balancing himself on that left leg of his. Wasn't a bad bit of attempted wrong footing by Johansson.
What must be going through his brain right now?
Yes, he certainly doesn't want to let his thoughts get too far ahead of him.
The first unforced error of the breaker. So history awaits Johansson here. He's a point away from being a winner of a Grand Slam. Five match points. Good to see the giant man still hammering those nails home.
Johansson. Johansson.
Safin doesn't have the countenance of someone who's done with. Johansson's going to have to win this third championship point. The tension showed there.
Tension showed all round. Even the linesman must have a bit of Swedish blood in him. Seemed to swallow his tongue as he made the call.
6-4. Johansson.
Championship point number 4. It's there.
3-6, 6-4, 6-4, 7-6.
And Thomas Johansson of Sweden is the Australian Open champion. A quite scintillating performance.